I don't know. We should
have.
We could do the countdown.
I mean, you went through all the effort to set up the countdown. We could have done the countdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, let's roll the countdown now. This is hot.
Work on my it's
hot.
like fresh out of the coffee maker.
That's how I like it. Scalding hot. Burning on the way down. Yeah,
that's right. Kind of opens you up. It kind of gets the bouquet kind of up in your nostrils.
Warms the body.
Then, for your vocal cords, it sears them to a crisp.
I like it. What am I drinking out of? Of course.
Orville, courtesy of Andrew Wallace. It's Fat Produce.
I love that show, by the way.
Again, it's like Orville. Oh, hey, we're wondering if we were going to send good audio. So this is the TK Inception, but with audio instead. We were joking about maybe throwing our stream up on the TV.
I should
behind us.
Stop the audio. I didn't realize I had my audio on. Yeah. Sabaho, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another show. Best of our week. And,
this is the best of my week.
It actually hit right at that point for me as well. I've been trying to. Okay, so first thing, last time we saw each other in person was at the park.
Yeah,
and that was for the phone challenge. Exactly,
right.
and that was at Balboa Park. It was a really cool day, but we haven't been able to see each other. I never got a chance to see the Gadget Lab 3.0. Let's just say that much.
So TK had you were the first on the invite list, and we obviously were trying to be as safe as we could for our families, and
we are actually 6,000 feet apart right now.
Yeah, this is all just really fancy
camera angles and
green screening, and
pretty much,
yeah, kind of like if you ever saw the behind the scenes on like making The Hobbit.
Exactly, kind
of like that, because I'm only like 4 feet tall, and you're what, 7'2", 7'3", so it's all perspective. It's just
in the summer it goes a little
wide angle lenses do funky things, folks.
It is. Story. And we're happy to bring this to you guys.
But then also, like, Gadget Lab 3 never got finished. Gadget Lab 3 became like a storage space because we were holed up at home and Marie was working from home.
Yeah, it was
There was literally not room for a second person in Gadget Lab 3.
And that's why wide angle lenses work magic. Because from my point of view, or at least I'm thinking from your point of view as well, you probably thought the Gadget Lab was a lot bigger than it was. And, I'll say this much. It's really cool to be back at the lab. Again, last time I saw Juan was 2 places ago.
Yeah.
And it's been some time since I was able to hang out with him. So very happy that our timing worked out. I was able to come out.
And invite my friend over. My daughter was so excited. I was like, Daddy, you're going to have a friend over? She was like, you have friends?
That's exactly. Oh my God. I told Omar I was coming over. He's like, can I come too? I'm like, it's not a part. I mean, it's one of those.
Moving forward, absolutely. We've got to get the families together. We're still unpacking. I don't have all my kitchen stuff set up. So unfortunately, we couldn't pull off ramen.
And I asked, I'm not going to lie. I sent the message last night. I said, will there be ramen? Only because he's only been teasing this for months.
I wanted to make that happen. It couldn't happen.
But we got somewhat of a close second. There's a really cool Lebanese breakfast thing that apparently is very close, which is nice.
It's so good.
And I picked up some. We were the first customers. They opened up and we picked it up. So that was very nice. So yeah, we had a chance to hang out.
We at least got to break some bread.
Yes.
But the short story, incredibly long, is please let's set up a time where we can have the families.
Absolutely.
Over. We can maybe come off, do a little live stream or a video or something like that. And then wrap it up with some ramen. And I feel like that'll be a good test of.
That's the plan for the second event. So this gets us gets us kind of going. And
Juan and TK community mukbang.
Dude, I am totally not against having
all the
food eating. Like we're all like sitting and saying,
noodle slurping.
What are you doing? Doing great. Big splatter all over the mics. For those, we're going to be using more like
overhead
mic. You'll see the mic arm sitting up there on there. But it's been an interesting week. We've been going through, and when I say interesting, I mean very hot. Very, very warm.
You guys got nuked too. It's been tricky because we've had a few things where it would be kind of nice to get footage outside. I still haven't finished this Panasonic because, like, for as cool as this rugged tablet is, I can't go out in 105 degrees and get good B-roll.
And it goes up very quickly. So
I'm gonna be looking real misty during the stream.
It is, and it's like yesterday about 11:30 at my house it was like 111, and that's literally about 43 and a half Celsius. This is really hot. It's dry, but it's so hot that it. So the thing that I've realized with temperatures, especially with weather, any phone you're using, be it the S21 Ultra, be it any smartphone that you have, if you're outdoors and you're in direct sunlight, the amount of heat generated from the environment and your phone running at full capacity to overcome the brightness so that you can see what it's doing tends to give you a very weird experience. And smartphone battery drops very fast. Things get too hot. You start getting warnings on your phones
immediately.
So I have a few things as well that I would love to go out, like microphones and things that I want to be able to test out outdoors to do some shots. But I don't think you guys want to see me sweating my head off and then with audio, with the.
I've got a video going out this afternoon, talking about some little earbuds, and I was in the office, and like I just look so wilted, like it's
not a pleasant
humid. There's nothing I can do. It's funny. I do a joke in there about like, well, they've got pretty good sweat resistance. Sad trombone, because like
I was going to do something with the Sonys, and I ended up having.
Yeah, we're going to talk about those Sonys. Yeah. I just thought it would be kind of fun because those are like some of the nicest, most premium earbuds on the market. And I just wrapped up the Earfun Free 2.
Yep.
Which surprisingly good at the budget, but we'll bookend.
It bookends both sides. Yeah, you can go from
on some earbuds
starter level all the way up to the 300 and something.
It's like one of those terrible game app advertisements, like noob level versus.
No, they show you this in the picture and then you're playing. I was like, but you're gonna get no. This gives you this experience for $50. Go ahead and click the link. It's actually not a bad clickbait, but not the style that I like.
Not what we really do here.
No, they did reach out, and I'm trying to work out some specifics on the earphones.
Yeah, for sure.
I reviewed the first ones. They definitely are very nice, bang for the buck type of experience.
I never got the first free. I only got the Earfun Pro.
Oh, so
my experience is very colored by. I started with their high end.
And I started with their low end, and then goes in. But the thing about them is that they're definitely going for the budget friendly. That's the specific category they're sticking with. Sony made us wait a couple of years. This has been a while.
Yeah,
I was a big fan of the XM3s.
I feel though that Sony is a company in that tech transition, and as an audio brand, audio companies are not into yearly cycling,
and they shouldn't.
They do not do that. And Sony, I feel, is like, well, as new technologies arrive, there's better support for codecs. We can do more on-chip ANC that can help with battery life, things like that.
Exactly.
I feel like they're starting to get better about keeping up, but I still prefer this notion that like you buy some XM3s, you should be good.
Oh, and you're actually still
wild.
You're still pretty good in the XM3s. The things that I appreciate about here is, so out of the box when I got the XM3s, I had a couple of things going on because everybody at the time of the XM3s was already going smaller form factor. They weren't focusing as much on the ANC. You got a much better ANC with Sony's, always better sound quality. But they went for smaller footprint, wireless charging. Cases were easier. Like for me, and it's kind of cheesy, I like to be able to fit my headset in the small pocket on my in my jeans.
Fair.
So as I carry them, because I don't want them to sit with my keys, I don't want them to go anywhere. And so that's a form factor thing. The case for the XM3s was bigger, and I kind of got used to using it, but then it got scuffed up in my pocket.
Totally.
So now the one I have, literally, you would not even know it's a Sony. Wireless charging was a big thing for me at the time because I have so many of them in the office. I like to be able to just put my headphones down, and then when I pick them up, whatever, they get charged up.
It's maybe the one time I kind of like wireless charging is the main charging because you're not really charging the buds. You're charging the case.
Exactly.
So it's okay if the case battery wears out.
You're using the buds. You're going around, and then you just put the case there, and when you come back, you put it in.
That's okay.
Those are functions that I like, and they answered a lot of them on top of improving the ANC.
Yeah.
Like serious shutting out everybody in the world type of ANC experience. So I was going to shoot the video and post it today, but this one will go up hopefully in the next couple of days or so, maybe Monday morning. I had a whole bunch of computer problems going on last night. So yes, my computer story continues, but hopefully to a better note. If you guys got a chance to see the
saga continues,
the Instagram story, I got the computer put together. I was up till 10:30. Still have a few things, kind of a little bit to kind of fix. But so I'm very happy with those, and we we both got a chance to show you guys a little bit of love with the
Yeah,
E3.
do we want to switch gears here? Because,
we can talk a little bit. Yeah, we'll switch back to the Sonys. I feel like a lot of our content this week has been focusing on the.
Put this up on the bookshelf. Hopefully my coffee doesn't go flying. So I'm wearing my Pro.
So I brought the Pro as well. The Pro is my favorite, just for reference. The E3 is literally a close second.
Oh, I didn't even boot this up. Let's turn this back on.
Yeah. And here's a cough coming. And that's when the end of the show.
And what's funny is that we still do that thing because we're usually on like broadcast mics where I turn away, but I'm wearing the mic. So if I cough, you're going to hear it just as well.
I was going to say, that's the thing. It's not going anywhere.
Okay. So first of all, if you need to, let's get the Wear OS jokes out of your system.
Yeah.
Like, ha, 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 they still make watches, but not worth it for the monies, and who could use it? And I had one 10 years ago and it lagged once.
Yeah.
I really feel Mobvoi has not gotten the credit they deserve for keeping Wear OS like on life support.
Well, not only that, but actually giving it a good run.
Well, doing things with it that are really compelling.
Exactly. Trying to figure out how to make it run correctly.
Because I feel like the Fossil group makes a lot of noise. They make brilliant watches. I've got a bunch of like standalone, not smartwatches, but some of their hybrids and then just regular watches.
Yeah, hybrids for a while were
Scoggins and stuff like that.
There was a little bit of a stint of hybrid watches coming out every once in a while, but then I haven't seen much.
Oh, I think they actually said recently like there's no market for hybrids. So
because if you either want a smartwatch or you want a traditional, watch,
it's kind of the worst of both worlds.
Because it doesn't really do what it doesn't do. Yeah, it doesn't do a good job at either. It's that Maverick kind of thing, but it's not the best.
I mean, I still have my Scoggin hybrid, and I like to wear it when I dress up. But there's very little that you can really count on it to do, and I don't really care about step tracking when I'm in wingtips.
No, and I think that's the thing about it. Smartwatches are very much like regular timepieces that you actually wear them based on what you're doing. Like for me, the 3 Pro looks very different. It has that unique type of look that when I'm using that or if I'm using the E3. Now, like I said, I changed the band. I'm apparently one of the very few people that got it. I got them to send me.
I didn't get a fancy band.
I begged for the band every time.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't ask. So I thought they would just send it as like a kit. Like,
every time we get, anytime we get devices, this is the typical thing that I get.
I should have begged for a band.
I learned that from Issa. So that's the thing. Issa, if you guys know Issa, friend of the show, Josh's girl all the way. So I always ask, how come she always gets like these very interesting, the cool color ones? And she said, that's #1 thing I asked right after they send me they start communicating. And so I was looking through our brief. There was some information that Mobvoi is selling some of their own bands. So I typed like, please, please, please include at any color. I didn't care what it was. I wanted to look a little bit unique. So that kind of like when you see it on my wrist, I'm wearing something different.
Yeah.
And so
I feel I have done my job poorly. But getting
we have like 1,000 of these, right? So
no, but I mean the part of the story though is like I didn't even comment on it that they're selling their own accessories. It's just like, well, it's got the same pin. You can put whatever watch band you want in. I think that is a step up in just. It feels a bit more like the brand growing up when they take into consideration not just the watch, but then how you're going to accessorize it. You could do that all in-house. Exactly. I'd love to see them get better about some of the supplemental stuff like screen protectors.
Want to be
things like that you
more
could,
things exactly.
You can make it a total one-stop shop.
Yep.
And have your gadget protected right out the gate. But when it actually comes down to the watch, I wish Mobvoi were a bit more forward with their plans for software support. But as this stands right now, this is the most usable Wear OS has ever been. Even if you were just buying the watch for what it could do today and you weren't hyped up about software updates, or if maybe Mobvoi lags on getting OS 3 out, I feel like this is the most functional and competitively functional. Like it feels as fluid as an Apple Watch now.
It is
most of the little interactions.
The best experience you can get on a smartwatch that runs Wear OS right now. They figured out that the gig of RAM, Wear 4100, is the secret sauce. So we knew the 1 gig of RAM already helped with fluidity. That was last year, right?
The LTE.
The 2020. Yeah. No, when they pushed it out last year, I was like, oh my God, this made perfect sense. Why have we been living with 512 for like gazillion years? But then they went with 4100 and they went with their custom launcher on top of that. And I was very skeptical with the 3 Pro, because I was like, you're putting too much, right? I mean, we're trying to make the original run right. They're like, no. hold my beer. I'm trying to push it to the next level. So realistically, seriously, both the E3 and the 3 Pro, and I think the LTE, the 3 Pro has an LTE in Europe, I think. They released a separate variant.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we
just call ours the GPS.
Yeah. So
there's no delineation here in the United States because there isn't an LTE version.
There isn't. You seriously get the best experience when it comes to smartwatches, at least running Wear OS.
Yeah.
Integration with your device, speakerphone, microphone. They literally, I feel like there was very few things they didn't bring down from the 3 Pro to keep that separation, like the display, the bigger battery, the larger display kind of thing. Those are things.
The Pro compromises. I'm glad the compromises weren't on the functionality hardware. So same processor, same RAM, same storage. That's going to be mandatory moving forward, regardless of OS 2 or OS 3.
Which actually we saw the article saying that it will be supported.
Well, here's what's frustrating. I feel that Qualcomm didn't take wearable chipsets seriously with the 2100.
No, 2100 had a lot of...
2100 was functional. It got Wear OS moving, but it wasn't like the nice fluid experience that you would expect from a Samsung Watch or from an Apple Watch.
Exactly.
And then the 3100 addressed all of the wrong problems. What we're going to do is we're going to try and improve battery life. And it got a little bit better.
That was
But people charged their Apple Watch like every 18 hours. So battery life wasn't the big
But it didn't really improve it as much. So I have a 3100. So I got the Apple Watch from the Qualcomm version.
Oh, I know.
It was much better. It was very much an improvement over the original. But then battery life seriously was like straight down. I barely get a day.
Especially compared to a TicWatch with the dual screen on a 2100. Solved that way better than Qualcomm's 3100. So I feel it's a little disingenuous for Qualcomm to come out and say, well, OS 3 could be supported on the our 3100 could run
4100, they're saying.
And to me, it's like, yeah, that was like back in the day when you would try and buy a new Windows PC with Vista, and it had stuff that could like barely run Windows XP.
It says supports Windows XP. There'll be a sticker on the side.
And they just like try and
Windows Vista support for Windows, and you hope it's going to be the right push. Which, actually, speaking of which, a whole bunch of content going on in Windows 11 this week.
Yeah,
that was
the leaks galore.
Full builds, ISOs, installs. I'm like,
I really need to get better about virtual machining so that I can like play with some of that stuff. There's no way I'm letting Windows 11 anywhere near my actual workstation.
I have Parallels installed on my Mac. So I have a Mac for work, day job stuff, different thing.
Traitor.
Yeah. And I got the 16. I got upgraded not that long ago.
Wow.
So I'll say this. In my experience of using a PC for the years that I've used a PC, I will say that a Mac, and it's going to sound weird, the Mac runs Windows in VM better than Windows sometimes runs on a PC. I'm talking about the longevity and the slowdown of how Windows PCs sometimes get. And
I just don't know who you are anymore.
I still run a full-blown desktop PC, but I have all those issues and I deal with them.
This is tilting my worldview like 7 degrees.
And that was the end of the show. But that's the reason why I run a Mac.
And
it was fun.
We have to sort of reconsider some life choices that we've made, and I feel like we'll grow from there. But right now is
how it's going to be.
The transition of
Windows 11 ended. That's how it ended. It was fine in Windows 10. Windows 11 ended. No, I would love to try and see the benefits. Unfortunately, with the amount of things that I do, I'm always going to be a late adopter of any version of Windows. Yeah. I never jump on a version of Windows the same way you never jump on a driver that just got dropped today. You always wait. We wait to hear about everybody else complain because there's going to be some pain. And I learned that last night. Apparently, my monitor has software updates. Did not know that. Now it's a thing.
Well, that's kind of, I like that with so much that's going on with monitors and stuff right now, that they're getting better. I remember some of the first like tactical displays. Some of those gaming monitors, and like, how could you upgrade the firmware? It seemed like a big mess, but now it's just like, it's basically just another computer.
Oh no, absolutely. I discovered that apparently my GPU, my graphics card does not run with the G9 monitor that I have. And I honestly thought I broke the monitor, or I had some bad combination of, again, Windows problems. And then I discovered that, no, you have to upgrade the firmware. But I have my monitor mounted on an arm behind, and then there's a whole bunch of things. So to get to the said USB port was a challenge on its own. So short answer, yeah, monitors have updates.
I'll be really surprised that if we don't see by the end of 2023, if we don't see monitors that have direct connect features for things like Stadia.
I would love see those are things that we need to see, like with all the connection they have.
Just a decent internal chipset that can kind of drive the visuals on its own, and then data connection.
That's all it needs. It just needs to run Chrome OS.
Put an Ethernet port on the back so you can take it seriously, and then
I already have my. Speaking of which I actually saw the remote for downstairs, the Google the Chromecast, the new Chromecast with the remote. I have that connected to my monitor, so in theory, I can already run Stadia if I could get the monitor to turn on. But that was my challenge last night. I had a little bit of a scare.
Could display a picture.
The computer booted up on it, but it went into that weird, funky resolution, like everything was like blown up, right? And the moment it jumped to 1080p or 1440p, it went dark, and I was like,
"That's bad."
Okay,
that's proper bad.
It booted. I was like, "Yay!" Now, how do I fix this? So a little bit of research. It's a driver issue, firmware issue on the monitor, and I can't be on the gaming drivers from NVIDIA. I have to be on the studio drivers, which again goes to show
complicating,
compatibility. Yay!
Yeah, it's pretty messy.
But going back to the Mobvoi, which is one of the things I wanted to kind of touch base. A lot of people comment on it, and we also talked about the fact that they also had a major revamp of their app. That's a big change from what we used to have from the app. It's actually, I feel like it's finally well polished. The old UI felt a little bit.
So user interface is polished.
Yeah.
It is a criticism of mine that, especially after having played with some of like the Amazfits.
Oh yes, sorry.
I do feel there's some functionality they could catch up on, especially in like body tracking and how granular some of that data can be. But they're definitely making a smartwatch focused product. I feel like
it's a slow process.
The function, the cleaning up the app, making it easier to use, and then also it's just prettier. And that's kind of one of the big things is like the old Mobvoi app. You kind of look at it and you're like, okay.
It's kind of like going from Windows XP to Windows 10. And I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm commenting badly on them. The architecture of the old app just literally
felt like an old Android app.
It felt more
like something.
It needed a kind of like a very massive facelift. Let's just say that much. And they established a lot of new things in there as well. The store is a little bit more prominent now.
Yeah.
The one thing that they added that I couldn't really figure out exactly till I figured it out the day literally before the videos needed to go out.
I didn't even show it on my video. I talked about it.
Yeah, I sent Juan a message. I said, so this is how you do it, because it wasn't in the instructions. But then I also kind of regret it because so initially I was trying to have Juan. I had Juan to my watch.
Yeah.
And then I saw the amount of data that it actually shows, and I was like, wait, hold on a second. Let him show his stuff. And luckily there's a way to track yourself. So I was following myself and I was able to show a little bit of it.
It's tricky because there's so much that goes into tech reviewing that we kind of can't show you how we really live with it. You know,
it's not something I have, like, unless I have my wife using a TicWatch or my son, it's a little bit hard for me to justify kind of, because it also doesn't show, it's not a competition mode. It's seriously almost like me looking into your dashboard.
Oh, yeah.
So
like all of it.
I didn't feel like it was doing what Fitbit does, right? There's like the whole competition mode between you and a friend, and you could basically, okay, I did 20,000 steps. How many you're doing today? And blah, blah, blah.
No, this is just like, you can see everything.
Yeah. And it's just sharing your content, which is perfectly fine. That's what you're trying to do.
Individually, yeah. But again, it's hard for us to like volunteer other people's information.
So that's why I say I asked, and then I kind of like let it go. I'll just I shared with Juan how to track yourself if you want to. The short answer is it's a nice addition. I think this is something if you're looking for it, it's nice. I think the overall facelift of the app, the watch faces, the UI element, the launcher that they have on the watch
is smooth.
It is so fast. It's seriously like
the screen wake is actually even faster than on the Pro.
A little bit. I think it's because it's probably
the Pro is having to do the dual transfer.
The switching, because
this one
it's one display.
It's
yeah,
so quick.
There's no two displays. You do have an always on display, and I
turned it off.
Well, so the thing about it is, if you want it, it's there, because there's also still that quick notification page.
Sure.
So they do that.
It's battery.
But well, it's not going to be okay. So that's the other thing that I
finally got this out to around 20 hours, I felt like, okay, this is pretty good. But to do that meant I had to like turn off the always on display. So.
Well, so if you do a workout during the day, it's a 24-hour watch. If you don't do any kind of workout where it's doing heavy kind of tracking, it goes for about a day and a half, easy.
Yeah, still way better. This is much better padded than like my Apple Watch, where I gave up even trying to pretend I could sleep track. Because like on Apple Watch, it's like I've got to charge.
You wake up in the morning, they're like,
and then charge it, and then somewhere in the middle of the day, maybe I should top it off so I can sleep track again. The window of time on my Series 4 does not work to use all the features. It's like I can only, if I want to track it for a workout, that's great. Yep. I'm not going to use it for sleep tracking. If I want to do it for sleep tracking, I've got to find a way to charge it.
But that's the thing. Those are the things they don't mention when you're looking at these watches.
I feel like my window is 20 hours of workout and sleep tracking. Okay. And I don't have to worry about like a midday top off
and then consistent notification being bombarded. Exactly. So there's the thing. We're also talking about notifications, responding to notification. So that's the difference between. So I had a chance to play with the RTS, the Mobvoi, not the RTS, the GTH running RTOS. I love the acronyms. That one does have a much better battery life, but then you had no responses back. That's what spawned the whole. I'm not going to say the word. The DT is going to kill me. I know he's in the chat. The notification for grown-ups.
Ah, yes.
I'm not going to say it the other way around. Because last time, Aditya is like,
he's really into mature notifications.
I don't know how it came out, and I didn't even catch it.
We're very mature.
Not really. No. We left maturity outside before we started the show. But
my daughter's going to come in and be like, guys,
she's going to
come on.
Can we bring up the maturity level?
Some dignity, please.
I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be funny. She shows up right there, and we're like,
oh, you're right.
It was a sham. The GTH did a lot of good things, which I appreciated.
Again, where I'm super excited about like Amazfits and fitness trackers, and where I think Fitbit could be interesting over the next year.
I want them to start coming back heavy. So ever since the acquisition, we've been in
a holding pattern.
Yeah, it's like especially with wearables, really. I think the biggest thing we can see, hopefully in the next couple of months or so, once we see what version 3 is going to look like. Some of the optimizations that we saw at I/O look like they're focusing on performance. Obviously, I'm hoping there's going to be hardware that's going to be coming with this. But again, supposedly 31, 41 should be able to run it. I think Mobvoi per se should be pretty good because of the way they've already kind of jumped over what everybody else was doing. Yeah. Most of the 3100s were still running 512 gigs of RAM. So you're thinking realistically, they should have upgraded to a gig to do that, circumventing some of those future-proofing. But we'll have to see. That's the thing. And this is brand new. This literally just started. I think it's available on most sites, on like Amazon and so on. So this could carry you for quite a while, even if you don't worry about Wear 3. This is realistically what Juan was saying.
And this is also the conversation that we need to have, where if we're going to draw this line in the sand between fitness trackers and computers on your wrist, a smart watch.
Exactly.
This is where I hope Samsung's influence is going to help flesh out the applet market, where little things like I flippin' love on my Apple Watch that when we're walking out the door, I go flick, tap, arm security system. And it is genuinely a faster interaction than what I could do pulling an iPhone out of my pocket. And it's those little things where now when I'm like out and about and I'm getting text messages on a 4100, I feel like it's kind of an even race. Like, is it going to be faster for me to do speech to text, or is it going to be faster for me to pull a phone out of my pocket, fire up my text messaging app, or pull down my notifications and get to that same notification to reply? Yeah. Now I feel like this makes sense. So I'm hoping that we can find. You don't need the whole app, but I just need the core function of one piece of it. The security system, I don't need all of the account settings, and I don't need, what sensors are being triggered. I just need to be able to arm it. And then I need to have like a streamlined view if my alarm goes off. Yep. And that's it. And so if I can get that as a tiny little nugget of an applet, it makes the smartwatch so much more functional for this like brief interaction style computing.
And getting Samsung and Google to work together for the ecosystem, that's where the benefit is going to start coming in.
Or just that we finally get an ecosystem.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing that we've dealt with. It's like, so Apple's had their own iOS,
anti-consumer, antitrust, monopolistic business practices.
All of them, but they also had a very massive appeal for their developer community, where the developer looks at it from a consumer base, right? Do I develop for Android and Tizen and try to delineate my work for everybody in there, or do I just develop it to one of the largest ecosystems, be it a walled garden? And that's typically what the developer, they 90% will go iOS first, or Wear OS. It's not Wear OS. Apple. What is that thing? Sorry. Watch OS, whatever, the version that you're running on it.
Okay, I was just about to see where he was going with that. I was like,
there's too many names. It's just trying to keep everything kind of running.
Yeah.
But typically, what ends up happening, like a lot of apps that I wish were running on Wear are running on, like especially with Tesla development and a whole bunch of different apps on the market, and they're starting to come. So that's what I really want out of this. I have nothing against Tizen. I like how Tizen was running on the watches. It was fluid. It felt like it wasn't the whole experience.
I don't mind other operating systems competing. Yeah. I thought what Samsung did was pretty bold. The thing that bothered me was you're not really marketing to other people with Wear OS thinking like, oh, well, I'm going to jump ship from my iPhone and Apple Watch. Like you're not going to, it's just not the way that we think about those separate ecosystems.
Yep.
But a Samsung phone is kind of synonymous with Android in the United States. And yet I still feel if you're going to make something like a watch, and then you spend a couple generations limiting the functionality of that watch on other Android smartphones, and it took a while before I felt like Galaxy watches could be decently recommended for LG phones and for Motorola phones. And it just threw so much cold water on what could have been better momentum, better progress for getting people into it, that now I'm not angsty about losing Tizen. Where normally I would be like, hey, more competition is better.
We lost a lot of those unique features that was making Tizen very much its own special ecosystem.
And then also, I just don't like that when I fire up an iPhone and I've got all these apps and built-in services and like, it's not bloat because it's all Apple's vertical.
Yeah.
But like, if I didn't have an Apple Watch and there's an Apple Watch app on my iPhone
that you cannot install,
or like maybe I subscribe to Tidal and I fire up my Apple Music app, and instead of it being the core interface for locally stored music or music on my network, it's music streaming as a service built in to this player app. And I didn't have Tidal pre-installed on my phone. I didn't have Spotify pre-installed on my phone. I feel like that's anti-consumer. So losing Tizen is a bummer for having some notion of feature competition where they could kind of pit these companies against each other. But at this point, I think we just need to see some resource, like you were saying, some way to get developers interested in delivering applets for more than just the Apple Watch. And I think this is the only way to do it. It's the right time. I mean, the right time to do this would have been 5 years ago. The second best time is today.
Better late than never, I guess.
Right. But it does come with a renewed focus from Google. Yep. I'm hoping some of the Fitbit ecosystem starts trickling into the Android Wear.
We need to see some of that
the Wear OS ecosystem. And then from there, I think we'll have a better sort of unified idea of where we could go. I'm just from the little things that like Mobvoi has put on here. Like a lot of these are duplicated where your fitness tracking apps go to both the TicWatch app and to like Google Fit.
I was going to say there's actually there are exercise trackers for both Fit and and
so again, like I was just saying,
on the watch.
There's a little pre-installed clutter on your watch.
Feels like a Samsung phone.
It's little things.
Turn it on and you're like, what? And 2 gallery apps? Photos and gallery? What?
But it's little things like they have their own little decibel meter.
Yes, so I saw that one. That was actually, I forgot to put that in the show.
When you want to check like sound around you, if we talk for 90 minutes at this level, this is bad. I think it's more because I'm like handling the watch. But it's much more accurate when I'm like just testing cars driving by. But having just something like this, this is kind of a prime example of what I'm talking about. It's a very simple at a glance chunk of information that you can get to quickly, and it's faster to do this interaction on your wrist than to pull out your phone, go into your app drawer, find this app, and then run it from there. And I find myself actually testing this more frequently because of the immediacy of this little applet. This is just like a little morsel, a little glimpse of hopefully we'll get developers considering this.
It'll be easier
for their own platforms and services.
Unifying the systems, because the other thing that we always keep in mind is that Tizen isn't going away. They're still going to be supporting it.
Tizen's dead.
At least on
it
watches.
It is not worth it. For the money.
It still needs to kind of live, because I think everybody that owned a Samsung watch, like myself, I
rip it off like a Band-Aid and get on with your life.
And that was it. Okay, so thank you very much. Make sure you buy a new watch, and here's the new one you need to buy.
No, I mean, like for phones and stuff, I totally buy a near-term future where, as we start talking more about fuchsia, that Samsung will leverage their investment in Tizen to help coax Google into the directions that they want Google to head. Because at any point, we could just make a Tizen Galaxy phone, Google. If you don't do what we want you to do.
I think Samsung did make a Tizen Galaxy phone.
Yeah, they did. It was only out in like Ukraine or something like that.
They made one, and they did it in a way where it looked literally almost like a regular Samsung phone because of the UI element. It was so heavily skinned. It was just all of it that way, and actually kind of speaks to harmony now too, because if you think about it.
But it was totally the don't make us do this threat to Google. Like, again, we want you to head in a particular direction, and Google probably had other designs, and Samsung was like, we don't need you.
We're seeing a lot of influence, though. Samsung's having a lot more influence now into, at least in the direction we're going with. We've seen them work with Google before. We've seen them work on dual applications, security with, I think was it Tizen and Knox. Knox security was actually featured on I/O a few years back. Now they're going to be working on Whitechapel. They're going to be working with them also on Wear, the Wear 3.0. So there's going to be a lot more influences from Samsung's learned experience. I'm hoping the right parts are the ones that transfer over, because there are certain things, Exynos is one thing to say, where they used to lead the pack in their version of the processing. Now they're very much a catch-up kind of a situation, and more of patching. Like, where the Exynos 2100 is, for the most part, I think trying to catch up with what Qualcomm was trying to do, but then it was already overheating. It's almost like Qualcomm kind of learned. Anyways, the experience needs to improve for us to actually enjoy it. I think developers working with two major ecosystems, is better, because it simplifies their workflow and it makes it so that we have access. Like, I love having Telegram on the watch. I'm on Telegram all the time, Discord, a whole bunch of chat applications. And I don't want to have to pick up my phone to respond to, if I'm talking to Juan or I'm talking to anybody else. I want to be able to do most of it out of my watch. WhatsApp works much better now. We are able to see images responding.
Where I get sad, though, is I do miss sort of the notion of wearable technology and competition coming from unexpected places. Like, every time I do, and it's gotten so much better doing like replies to notifications from watches, I just think back to the Focals.
Oh, man.
I would have whole conversations on Discord where they finally integrated like full rich notifications and replies with speech to text. And like, I look like an idiot because I'm just talking in these like sentence fragments while I'm out in public.
And he's moving his finger.
And like, trying to oh, that's funny. Elephant emoji. Like, it's hilarious, but I still don't think I've found anything that's quite as focused and immediate and worked as well. So really what I'm hoping to see
makes me miss Glass, man. I miss Google.
So
I miss Glass.
What I'm really hoping is Wear OS needs to become an operating system that you wear. And that doesn't mean I'm wearing an operating system. It means I'm wearing an operating system.
Seamless transition.
And moving data to the appropriate places and having stuff where it makes sense if it's data that should live better at eye level. Once we unify this platform, once we start incorporating better support for different little applets and small interaction pieces of software, we've got to find other ways. I want sensors in my shoes. I think it's stupid to look at step count from my wrist, because half the time I'm taking a walk with my daughter, I'm holding her hand. And my step count gets radically altered because I'm not moving my arm the way I should be when I'm
because your arm isn't bouncing in the right level, or if you're running, or if you're holding,
you're pushing a stroller from back in the day,
or if you're driving and suddenly get a notification saying you've reached your step count. And
probably not.
Not really. I haven't been. That was actually one thing about the Amazfit that kind of struck me a little bit. They have a mode, a fitness tracking mode for driving. It was in there. It's all the way at the bottom of the list. It says driving, and you actually set it, and it tracks. It runs the GPS and puts you from one place to the other.
Now that we're kind of back in traffic again, have you ever gotten like one of the stress alerts on your watch while sitting in traffic? That one freaked me out. It was like,
I haven't been out.
Hey, you're sitting.
This is one of my longest drives, by the way. Coming here, I have not been going. My commute have been at the most 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes for the last year.
My
grocery shopping
have been about 15 feet. So that's...
Well, we're starting kind of a little bit to go back. So with Omar, he's starting to go back to karate, swimming, and so on. So we get to do some things, but all of those are within literally 20 minutes at the most if there's any traffic. So I'm not missing that part of LA. I kind of don't like it. I had a couple of pockets of traffic on the way, and I remembered some of those. But then I also remembered why Teslas are so amazing, because you turn on autopilot and you just, as long as you're holding the steering wheel and looking, you're not even doing anything.
Cool.
It slows down, picks up, does the whole thing for me.
Tide goes in, tide goes out. No one knows how that works.
No, and I'm responsible. I do not try to do other ththings outside of my seat.
But it's cool to just like zone and like chill.
It's nice to not have to. Like on long drives where we've done it, like if we did I think it was a trip to San Diego Zoo a couple of months ago, right when I got the car. I wanted to go, first thing
you got to do
long drive. I wanted to go as long as possible. It was much better. I was less stressed because you don't realize it, but long drives when you're driving, and I know I'm turning into this like car show now. Back on the TK and Juan car show, we're talking today, Teslas and long drives. Not having to worry about the gas and the gas pedal and the accelerator and all of that. And literally, you have to pay attention. Obviously, you're not paying for too much, but you're able to actually relax a little bit. You're able to have a conversation. You're paying attention to the traffic. Everything is open, and then literally slows itself down, gets down to a stop, and goes. If the traffic is it keeps you a certain distance. A whole bunch of different things running at the same time. So I enjoyed that. It's not fully self-driving, but it feels nicer, and I kind of enjoyed it on the way here as well. I don't get a chance to try it that often.
Well, I can only imagine, because like when we got our new Nissan and it had radar assisted cruise control.
So there's more of those.
It kind of helps a little. For me, it's still like 3 steps more attention that you need to pay, because you obviously don't have lane guidance on a cheap Nissan, and you don't have some of the position of the sensor, singular, not sensors. Means that there is this one blind spot off the passenger side. If someone, because in LA, drivers in LA are the most passively, obliviously aggressive drivers. And I don't know what it is, but people love to like lane change when I'm in their blind spot. And that's the one part of the car that reads the poorest.
Yeah.
So as they're coming in on the passenger side and they're merging into my lane, but not really, because they're going way slower than I am, or I need to slam on my brakes to accommodate their move. That's the one thing that the radar assist can't cope with very well. So it's things like that, like you're still constantly on guard because of other people.
And of course, not that I'm trying to brag, but Tesla at least shows me a virtual route on both sides. I can see cars coming from behind to the front.
Nothing but bragging at this point.
I like my car.
It's a cool car.
Look, if there was a way to describe how that excitement level that you get from getting a smartphone and embody that in a car, that's the excitement you get from a Tesla. I'm not trying to sell it. If Adam is still in the chat, I'm pretty sure he's going to back me up. Although he just got a Supra. I used to have a Supra. I grew up with a Toyota Supra.
I really miss the Supras.
And it was literally like, it has Superman in it. Come on. Like the name is just crazy speed. So he has a Tesla for him, and his wife has a Tesla, and he has a Supra. So they got seriously some of the fastest cars on the market. It is crazy the amount of tech that you get in a Tesla, and it takes a little bit to get used to and kind of trusting the ecosystem, because it's very different. Driving a Tesla feels different. When I drive my wife's car, I feel like, what's wrong with this car? It's not. Oh, it's a car. It's a regular car.
Our old car doesn't have a backup camera, and like, how do you survive?
Function? Yeah, we had a truck that didn't have it, and my wife was like, I can't drive this car. And I was like, why? No backup camera.
I need you to get out and go behind the car and then wave me out because I can't see.
If you remember
I need a fisheye lens back there, and I don't have it.
I ended up installing a backup camera on the license.
You did.
Well, okay, so this is me. You give me a problem, and the first thing that's 90% of how I figure it.
While my DJ revolves.
Exactly. That's 90%. That's exactly what I do. So the story, the moral of the story is TK likes his car. Thank you very much.
Yes.
The show.
Thanks for watching. Yeah. And next week on Lug Nuts, we're going to talk about the upcoming changes to Nissan's platform for distributed driving technologies. Hopefully, get them into all-wheel drive on battery-powered cars. I think that's going to be interesting.
I'm looking forward to seeing more power stations all across because I'd like to be able to go further.
Yeah, especially stage 3s. Definitely, we could use that for infrastructure.
Did you see the new Tesla? Is it Plaid or Plaid?
Yeah, the new Plaid version.
Is it Plaid?
Yeah.
Why does it? Okay.
Because it's Spaceballs.
Yeah. No, I know. He said it on stage. He's like, that's exactly. We keep watching Spaceballs. I'm like, we're going Plaid speed, ludicrous speed. I remember. I don't have ludicrous on my car.
What he needs is a way to jam like sensors so that cops can't like tag him with speedometer radar guns.
My personal preference on jam is strawberry.
Yeah,
that's my flavor.
Now if we're going preserves though, some low sugar or no sugar added apricot, pretty tasty.
I could do the actual. I'm thinking they'll do the job. Space Jam is always the best. That's if you guys haven't ever seen Spaceballs, it's a seriously my one regret in my entire cinematic.
Wow. Okay, we're getting deep here, folks.
Seriously,
we're talking about regret.
They teased us for a sequel. We never got a sequel.
That's true.
We needed to know what happened to the Schwartz. Come on, man. Lucas,
now,
we have what, 9 movies?
I don't want to blow your mind here, but we technically did.
There
is a Spaceballs animated series with most of the cast returning to voice their characters, including like Daphne Zuniga and.
I wanted the actual.
I know, but I'm saying the story continues.
The story does continue. We're gonna comb the desert.
It's actually
we're gonna comb the desert and keep looking for more details.
And that's Tuvok from Star Trek.
It's an amazing movie. I showed it to Omar. Some of the jokes kind of went slightly over his head, especially the jam. He's like, "Why did they throw strawberry jam?" And because jamming is jamming, and they're playing. It's a play on word, and Darth Vader.
It's a movie of dad jokes.
It's a little. He's getting better at dad jokes. Okay, here's one. If you're watching, Omar, this is for you. So, what does 50 do when it's hungry?
I don't know. What does 50 do when it's hungry?
58. It's cheesy. He comes up, but he delivered it. Okay, so I'm not gonna say that. He said like about 10 of them, and I think by the 6th one I was starting to break down, and he hit me with that 58, and it just blew me up.
That's good.
It just
and also good not to lead with that.
Yeah, no.
Like let it build up.
He built up, and I wasn't expecting him to get. And then he said 58, and he did that backwards smiling walk. It killed me. Oh my God.
Mic drop.
Exactly. Dang you, TikTok. Anyways, yeah. So he's learning a lot of his jokes and a lot of his pranking situation there. I know that landed very badly. I'm pretty sure everybody already is like signing off.
It's people to vacate the stream. No, I think it's kind of interesting. Like going back and rewatching Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh my God, my kingdom for a horse.
Getting back and like, there's something about Mel Brooks' comedy where. There is a genius. He's a genius, but there is a hard generational shift where the comedy of that time depends on a certain pop culture of its time. It's hard. I mean, because think about trying to show someone Blazing Saddles today if they're younger, and there's sort of an expression of like what it was that this filmmaker was trying to do in tackling some really horrific topics of like racism in the Old West and stuff, and how that was for its time extremely satirizing and skewering of the way that we would handle those topics in sort of discourse and political discourse.
Some of it now may be somewhat offensive.
Well, no, but by design, it was supposed to be the most offensive comedy ever made of its time.
But that was what they were trying to do.
They were trying
to push the limits of what you thought comedy was in
social commentary.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's very difficult to untangle like why Daphne Zuniga is a big deal in Spaceballs, and what it is that they're trying to riff on, and some of the jokes about the Schwartz and how that plays into Star Wars, and even just like some of the running gags, like merchandising.
Was about the same merchandising. You got to say it right. Merchandising.
But it's also hilarious that
the backpacks, the toys,
having that scene and getting Lucas's sort of approval of satirizing Star Wars. Lucas only agreed if they promised not to make actual merchandising for Spaceballs.
So I wanted that.
It's the biggest part of the joke.
I saw that,
and that becomes a meta joke internally that
there is no
actual merchandising in for Spaceballs.
Killed me. It was right next to the big. Anyways, yeah, I'm having flashbacks.
And again, I would wonder, and not to say like, oh, kids can't figure out rotary phones, I'm smart and old. Not like that. I wonder, like, because kids don't grow up today with the Toys R Us catalog and going to like KB Toys in the mall where you would see the Star Wars display. But you know what I mean? Like you would see the racks and racks and racks and racks of action figures, and they don't. I mean, you can walk down a couple aisles at Target. It's not the same.
It's not. No.
And I wonder, like, does that
excitement
joke land as well when that's not the consumer experience that a kid's going to have to understand, like, why we would get so nerdcore hyped about going to, like, Radio Shack and KB Toys and then get like a Cinnabon.
Oh my God. No, man. So I worked at KB Toys for a few years. It was actually one of my first jobs after high school, that actually like regular job. And it was as much fun as I thought it would be working at a toy store. I got to unbox toys that were collectibles, action figures, things that I really cared very much.
I was unboxing way before it was
I was
cool.
doing unboxings way before it was cool. So let's just say that much, okay? And I was totally fair, and I did not keep anybody. There was
none of them accidentally made it in
let's
my
just say
backpack.
this: I worked the Christmas when Tickle Me Elmo hit and became big.
Damn.
I worked that Christmas at a KB Toys, which obviously is no longer there. Neither is Toys R Us, and neither is Radio Shack. Okay, so it sounds like a really bad story of things. I used to also work at a Software Etc. store back in the mall.
Those were fun.
They used to let me.
Was that the one that got bought out by
Babbage's? Yeah. So Software Etc. got bought out by Babbage's.
And then Babbage's got bought out by...
I forgot. They got
merged or something. Yeah.
Well, it's a tough business, right? Because nobody buys discs anymore.
Yeah.
The whole premise of the business model back then was, I mean, so the way it was essentially is the toy store for software.
Yes.
Right? It's a small little boutique shop. You go in there, you find video games, everything was on CDs and so on. And I love that they used to let us test those. We used to take the games in, we test them out. So we know what we're talking about. But they didn't want us to be kind of like, I don't want to riff on Fry's, but if you've ever been to a Fry's store and you've ever tried asking anybody for help, you know what I mean. But
well, back in the day, Fry's used to be the jam. And now that they're out of business, it's like, yeah, I'm not that sad for what they became. But I just remember when I was a kid, coming out here to visit my grandfather, and we would go to Fry's, and you could like buy all this stuff. And, like,
one of the best stops we always used to stop, and when we go to Vegas with Omar,
yeah,
is the Fry's Electronics. There's a Fry's right before you get to the strip.
That was their flagship store.
That was
like when Fry's was going out of business, that was the only store they were sending product to, and stocking. I got a message from. I don't think they'll mind if I say this. I got a message from the Me Audio guys.
Mm-hmm.
When Fry's went out of business, they were like, yeah, I know we were going to work on some project with you, but we've got to put everything on hold because Fry's just told us 6 hours ago that they're closing all of their stores, and we need to physically go and pick up all of our old inventory. They're not going to send it to us. And so now we've got to drive all over the state to go get, product and headphones and stuff back. Like, wow. Even on their way out, Fry's managed to find a way to make it worse.
It was a very, what they started at and what they were at the end, it was a very different experience.
So bad.
But
sorry, anyway.
Their stores were iconic. So the looks.
Short story long, support your local Micro Center.
Please.
Because those guys are
we only have
rushing it right now.
So speaking of which, that's where I got my 5950X. It was a Micro Center. It's literally the only computer center store in LA. Actually, there isn't any. There's just Tustin.
To what you were talking about, one of the only ones too where I feel like they invest enough in the training of their employees that it's kind of worth occasionally asking them questions about stuff. Like it's huge.
And don't get me wrong, I love the Best Buy experience. I love trying to do all of that, but realistically,
Best Buy has gotten better over the last couple
they have, but it's not a Micro Center. It's Micro Center really embodies, like, and they used to have a lot more stores, which is the other thing. They didn't do what Fry's did as opposed to closing everything. They downsized. There used to be one in Burbank, I think, right off the 210, not the 210, the 5. And that one closed, but then they have one left here in Tustin, which is about an hour. It's a little bit, let's just say this way, it's a drive, but if they have the stuff in stock, it's nice. And
especially their focus on like components in demand being in-store pickup.
Yep. And they also have, like, I've called a few times trying to figure out when they're going to have 3080s. And then surprisingly, I was checking their stock and they actually had a 5950X in another state. So I had to call a friend. Bye. I was like, yes. It is so nice. It is so much faster.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm still on my old Threadripper, and I'm not maxing out the raw capability of this, but I do feel like probably not anytime this year, but maybe into next year, switching for faster individual CPU speeds.
Yeah. And I think
I probably won't get to that point where I'm totally occupying like the core count enough to sort of balance the slower performance per core.
That's
I talk pretty.
He does talk pretty. Keep doing. No, it's
don't quit your day job, which is talking.
Talking to a camera, which is actually so the short way of saying it is CPU cores and processing power. It depends on what you're doing. It depends really what you really need out of it. But for me, it's a gaming production system.
I'm envious of that 5950 because it looks like a monster.
It is. Oh my God. And I got an AIO. So I finally switched over from air cooling to AIO because I want to start pushing it. I just need to figure out how to control this AIO. It's a setup from some of my friends, the GamDS or Gam. I call them GamDS.
I like to soft A everything.
Okay.
So I like to say apricot instead of apricot, and I say aunt instead of ant, and I'm real highfalutin. So I kind of like.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I kind of like GamDS.
So I call them GamDS because it sounds like it's a game,
and I like GamDS because it sounds like something out of Deep Space Nine.
Well, it also. It is actually. It sounds like it is the GamDS saga. That's exactly how we started.
What will Cisco do next? Tune in next week for another episode of Media Nerds as we talk about what the future series for the return to Deep Space Nine after the second season of Picard.
Exactly.
And we'll see if John Delancey's return to the series is going to throw some wrenches.
We'll have to see how
the flies in the ointment, as it were. That's a tease.
Flies in the ointment.
I have no idea what's going on with Star Trek right now. I'm not even through the first season of Discovery.
It has been a while. I see that we have a whole bunch of our friends with us. Rolando's in the chat. Greg is in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Senor Joshua Vergara.
I've got a side monitor over here. So
there's been comments in here.
Josh,
yeah.
I think I've got this functional that if the three of us wanted to try and hook up some kind of... like in person.
We're mic'd. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Actually, that's the tricky part is finding a way to kind of like tie multiple, because stereo is easy over wireless, especially now with these Rode Wireless Go 2. This podcast's not sponsored.
Hashtag not. Yeah, no. We should fire up the Comicas. Didn't we get 3 mics with the Comicas? Or 2? Was it 2?
I'd say I think we've only ever done 2 properly.
The only other thing we can probably do is get. Oh no! I have some Ceramonics with a third. I'm able to add a third channel, so I think I may be able to bring
Ceramonics might work.
Yeah, Ceramonics should be able to, but the third person's going to have to hold the mic.
Sorry, Josh.
We'll have to.
You're just gonna.
We'll do straws on that one.
We'll give you the handhold.
I mean, say the word and I'm there. Okay, Josh, you have approximately.
Yeah, you've got about 20 minutes for this one, but no, seriously, I feel like this is a healthy first step for us to try and get back to some of the ideas that we were talking about over a year and a half ago. It's funny, like we were even talking about how to do our podcast, and we put that on hold for a while. It was a big part of how do we start it? How do we keep it up? How do we because the thing about it is I know lately it does seem a little bit more where we're not putting a lot of effort into the production, the background part of production. Obviously the content is still the way we want it to be, but the goal is obviously to focus a little bit more on it and get it stabilized.
to start kind of expanding it. I mean, we're doing pretty decent. We're almost up to 200 now. I think it was like 193 this morning.
And we're talking about stats on YouTube. One of the things that we're...
Or I meant the community, but I'm sorry.
No, but one of the things that we were talking about before too is like if we want to take the show on the road, where maybe we might not be able to do some kind of live stream where you can watch the conversation happen in real time, but that we can still put out an audio version of that.
Yeah.
And you can get that kind of organic sense. Like, this is discreet enough that if we go to a coffee shop, we look nerdy, but it's like we don't have to worry about like setting up cameras on tripods and
Remember that one time at the Sherman Oaks Gallery? Oh my God, we got the security lady coming up. What are you guys doing? We're recording ourselves.
Looking and it's fine. You can't see it's cool.
It was that time we did the that peeling phone challenge.
Oh yeah. Oh, I wonder if I think I finally recycled that X-Gotti.
Thank God.
Yeah, it ended up going to the hazardous waste disposal here in the valley.
I think it's one of those
worth pretending.
No, when the back peels off with the sticker that comes with it, then you know.
Like when the back peels off and you can see that of the 4 modules on the back of the phone, there's only one functional camera. It's like I feel like I'm being kind in saying that's a lie. You lied.
It's one of those TikToks where you see people putting stickers on the back of their iPhones to make the iPhone 8 look like an iPhone 9. iPhone 9
nerds.
It's one of those things. No, seriously. Off to the gym before tomorrow's celebration tacos. Yes. So tomorrow, I'm going to be actually stopping over at Josh's place tomorrow.
Right on.
For
this dude's getting around.
I could not have timed it.
Social butterfly.
Purely, not only that, we're doing live stream today, live stream tomorrow, hanging out with Josh tomorrow over for his celebration, birthday thing. So get a chance to actually finally see Josh again. It's been also a year. It's been a minute. Josh and I, so we all live somewhat in the same region, and I'll say that LA County, kind of, or actually no, Josh is outside of it.
But it takes we're like right next to each other.
Exactly. We just need teleporters. If we can just teleport, it would be perfectly fine. But yeah, we'll hopefully get a chance to hang out. always hanging out with you guys. But yeah, it would be nice to be able to get Josh and John. See, this is what happens when I get both of them in the same spot. Juan and Josh, I always mix them up whenever we start talking about the conversation.
We're very similar. It's I confuse us all the time. I do love tea.
He loves tea, and he does go to
Mexican food.
That's true. But tomorrow we're having
pretty into that too. So
he's making some tacos. So I'm looking forward to
for Taco Saturday.
After Saturday Morning with Tech. Any more?
Yeah.
Plugs.
So I've got a premiere scheduled for tomorrow.
Oh yes, tomorrow, please. 11:30-ish. 11:30, I think. Yeah. So just a little bit of a heads up. Saturday Morning with Tech is going to start normal time, but I'm going to be kind of ending it at 11:30. So we'll all kind of transition together over to Juan's and checking it out.
What I was gonna say is, don't. If you're in the middle of a good conversation, let it ride.
Trust me.
What my premiere is it's like a creator video academy with some of the folks that I like to watch their streams, like Barry Johnson, Gadget Goddess, just a video creator expo that they're kind of putting up all of these like tips and tricks on different people's channels. So it's more if you want to make your own content. Mine is like 13 minutes of YouTube is being mean to me and I'm mad. So don't feel like you got to rush off your stream, though.
Oh, no.
I feel like if you watched one of my podcasts, you've heard this rant a few times before. So don't. I always appreciate folks dropping by. I'm going to be in the premiere. The over/under on my.
I like the beginning of the show. So lately I've been hitting the SGGQA early at the beginning of it. And so just for reference, guys, a lot of times I'm actually watching the show. I have it on my monitor. I typically have things to do, so I put the top monitor for the SGGQA, and I bottom monitor is where I'm doing my workflow editing. I can
see over everything that TK is doing.
Exactly, and whenever I hear my name come up, that's how I realized I was part of the intro. If you watch the intro, the little bit of sketch, he changed it.
And I think Steve is Steve in the chat. So Steve helped hook me up with a new video intro.
Okay, cool.
So many huge. I forgot to mention that when I first used it. That Steve, he was the one that originally helped me figure out how to use that OBS plugin so that you could have a good countdown clock. But he recently was like, "Hey, I was just messing around. If you want this, you can have it." And it's even more of like a mashup of my most hilarious bad moments of my videos.
Bad acting.
Bad
super
acting
bad
moments.
acting.
Super bad.
That one going for the car.
And he kind of nailed it. Like, oh, let me show you the build quality of this laptop. And I'm like flopping it all over this table. He really hooked it up. So a huge thank you to Steve. I think he was in the chat at one point, but he might have had to bounce out.
No, definitely. Just saying. But yeah, no. So there's a lot of things going on tomorrow. Hopefully, like I said, the show will be fine. To me, it's more about it's been running about an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes typically. About an hour and a half, everybody in the show starts like reminding me of the TKception. So the moment I see that in the chat, no, seriously, they're super great at the timing for some reason. Like I see that comment. We kick
go time.
We kick them out. Not kick them out. We start kind of.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Exactly. No, but we could definitely do, or maybe even do a live showing of the. Have everybody jump on and check it out. I'm actually interested to see some of the things going on. YouTube has been going through. Oh man, for the longest time has been going through their own thing, and I need to figure out whatever.
We're all going through some existential crises, like what we want our channels to be,
and I need to stop looking at metrics. It's
hilarious. Like if I open the YouTube Creator app on my phone, or if I pull it up on a website, I am now purposely doing this thing where I'm blurring my eyes until I can get to the comment. Really, the only thing I care about is whether or not I've got comments.
I've shortcut it. I actually have a shortcut now. I have it on my task. I hit it and it takes me straight in the comments.
Basically, all of the data that you get from YouTube is YouTube sort of chastising you for not being good enough on their platform.
And to a metric that you have no control over.
Zero.
It's their own metric,
and you're
to their own systematic way of categorizing where you fit into their life. It's just
with your subscribers.
It's like a bad day. It's a bad relationship with an ex-girlfriend.
And I really feel, it is. It's really like bad. An ex-girlfriend that you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
It's awful because it's the same thing. The whole time I'm looking through their numbers, it's like, but I also know that you're not sending my stuff to my subscribers. So don't act like this is all on me, that I'm not making you the kind of content that's pure trending topic fodder. So
I've had a few, like Aditya and Chemi letting me know that like literally almost 24 hours later before they see where the actual content has been pushed. So it's very hard for you to be controlling how my content goes out, and then you still come back to me and tell me I'm not performing the way you want me to perform.
And I could try and make this more, because I know my release schedule is a little slapdash. Like sometimes I get 5 videos out in a week, sometimes it's like 1.
I'm trying to be high,
but there's almost no point in me trying to standardize that, because I know even people who smash my bell icon probably won't be alerted on the day anyway.
Nope.
So ultimately,
I say Twitch has been doing great though. It's like
Twitch has been doing so much better.
SGGQA, whenever that goes on, or when Val goes on, when anyway, Fat Produce goes on streaming at work, or Trisha. Trisha actually hasn't been doing Twitch as much. She's been doing YouTube more.
She's been doing YouTube more because she's trying to do one of the things that I say is a good business practice, is diversifying your social media platform, which you can hear more about on my premiere this Saturday.
Mañana, 11:30 del how do you say morning? De mañana, actually.
De la mañana.
11:30 de la mañana.
Sábado gigante.
También. That's the extent of my Spanish.
So tune in next week for Espanol Day Nerds. And we'll break down all of the Latin American tech progress that's being made, especially as we talk about the sort of emerging markets for LTE under the dawn of 5G rollouts. You definitely want to be there. So we've now done 4 different podcasts.
We're trying to cover
over the course of the show.
You want to get everything in the same show. That's exactly what we like to do.
But getting back to YouTube, I mean, one of the things that we're all going through right now, and one of the things I'm excited that we can start collaborating in a more human way, where
absolutely
these kinds of conversations can actually play out, not like with us talking over each other in a Zoom call style setup.
Which I don't mind. I just
it got the job done.
Oh no, absolutely.
It's amazing that it got the job done.
And when I saw that, they were like, well, wait, hold on a second, we're going to hang out. Let's switch it up just this week at least to see if we can get it, because obviously we're not going to be able to. So typically I work every other Friday is an off Friday for me. So this Friday was perfect. It ended up being where I was able to come over. He was available. That's also another thing, scheduling and everything. So it worked out. So I was like, hey, why don't we just shift it over? We've done it before. The lab has always been the best.
I definitely have to get better stools, though.
Yeah.
These are really shifty.
I was going to talk to you about that after the show.
I'm very sensitive.
And I was going to say, actually, the spread is a little thin.
Wow.
Yeah.
My wife made you coffee special. Like
exactly what the Orville would say, you know.
So
it's a little bit
short story, incredibly long. There's this thing that's in the air. We're all trying to figure out what to do next, and I think above all, we're just really interested in trying to get back to telling the stories that we think are going to be more interesting. And I think for a part of this, there are going to have to be episodes of this podcast where we just find other opportunities to share this content, maybe just direct audio. You know, we can go out, we can find organic ways to interact.
Well, and I also want to be able to have more other creators, showcasing other creators as well.
For sure.
I think it was a great opportunity to talk to Issa, to talk to Trish.
Get Josh on, just like impromptu, like on one of our first streams.
Like Josh could just literally open the door right now and
hey guys.
Exactly. You know, and I'm like, but
cue like, you know, Seinfeld's
he has to slide. Yeah, he has to do that. No,
that just got us a copyright strike right there.
Pretty much.
I bet you, like Seinfeld is now like paragliding. Into
luckily,
YouTube
we're not monetizing. We're not even trying, so we're good. But with that being said, so I didn't want to let it go. So with the Sonys, there is going to be a video. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll get a chance to finish it up today. This with the heat and everything.
It's hot.
It sounds weird, and I know it shouldn't be. But with the system being up and running, when it gets really hot in the afternoon, it's seriously, even if I'm really running the AC very high, the office where I work, my PC it's a heater. Yeah, it's just literally.
In fact, like, you know, we've been a little like humid just because this room, I mean, like we're right under the AC vent and it's still pretty toasty in here.
Yeah.
In about an hour, the sun is going to start hitting this wall directly.
The moment that this room kind of
and then Juan just passes out on his shag rug on the floor.
Yeah, yes,
it helps with the sound.
It does help a little bit with the sound. I can imagine
room ring in here. It's
well,
nice.
Your old place had more the sound dampening material on the glass back there.
So I've got like a big empty wall on that side, and it would be better if I could put up acoustic blankets. I
was going to say a Goku poster, but yeah, sure, acoustic blankets would be fine.
But
you got Vegeta up there.
I want more decorations, and I don't want to just have like this big blanket, and then I can only do something like a scroll. I want to have like some picture frames, and then maybe I'll eventually get like some nano leafs or some RGB, throw it up on that wall right there if I want to do kind of a reverse shot from where we are here. But basically, what I want
different nice looks. That's
is this right here, where the camera is literally just in the middle of the room, and any angle I turn the camera 360 degrees around,
it's a different set.
Can be a different shot for something different.
That's
the plan.
I would
with
love
better
that.
stools in the future.
Way better stools. No, I'm just kidding.
I've had these for a while too, and they've always sucked.
Have we not used these though in the old lab? I want to say we used
when we were in Gadget Lab too. Yeah, and then we got done with the stream, and we were both like, "Oh God,
dang it! Oh, thank God, the Tesla has really nice, comfortable chairs."
Oh, man.
Old dudes
like
show
right up your bottom. So yeah, next week on Geriatric Tech, we'll be talking about the future of
geriatric
home.
Don't say that. You know what Aditya is going to do. This is Aditya. Please, maybe take a break or something. Oh my God. Okay.
No, he's still in the chat.
Melt like a creamy guy. Oh my God. Aditya with the hashtags. You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
Yeah, I get real misty in this room. I'm telling you, check out. I'm going to be putting out that Ear Fun video this afternoon, probably like after lunch. It's so funny. Like my shirt is kind of hanging a little. I'm
just not comfortable.
I'm listening. I have like makeup and powder, but it's like I can't shoot and like keep an eye on me and talk through my talking points. I use a little teleprompter just with notes so that I can kind of talk through what I want to talk through. It's like I can't juggle all of that and then also be like, powder. Am I still shiny? Okay. It's like it's so hard just to get any video out these days.
Yeah.
That like if something slows me down a minute, all the momentum.
I have to shoot
leaves.
a lot of my A-roll and B-roll stuff. A-roll primarily early in the morning, like about 5 to 6 a.m. and then edit early before 11 o'clock before it gets too warm. Yeah. Otherwise, the video doesn't come out that day. So yes, it's one of those weird things.
Is like, are you finding your second wind at like 10 o'clock at night is getting weaker and weaker? Like
you're finally kind of cooling down. The sun's kind of go down, but you're just tired from trying to get out of the heat all the time.
It was so hot.
I know it sounds bad. The reality is, summer hasn't started. Summer starts in another yeah, 2 days from now. Summer still didn't get the memo though. It showed up early as usual.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get nuked.
Yeah. So Southern California summer not pleasant. I think Greg and some of the other guys were talking like they're getting a lot of rain and all different. We get it on the opposite side. We just get extreme heat. 111 yesterday or the day before. We typically top off like around 117, 118 in my place, and that's not even like if you know who Josh Quinones. Yeah. So there's one of the other creators. He lives way more inland than we are, and he gets into the 20s, and 120s, 125. I'm like, whoa, that's like Arizona heat. And I'm not saying I don't.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. So, yeah, I got to figure out how to cool my office. Let's just say that much.
Yeah,
somehow
we're gonna look at like a little AC unit that we can maybe throw because it's also this side of the building is also where Lex, her room is, and like there's gonna be times where she's just gonna want to hang out in her room, and a fan kind of gets it done. I'm worried about the peak of summer though, that it still might be a little too warm for her.
A little bit of a tip that I learned from our friend Josh that I'm sure he's at the gym already. There's a fan called the Tornado or the Vornado. I forget the name of it. I think that it's essentially an air circulating fan that you set up at downstairs. Generally, you set it up where there's the actual cold air, obviously, since everything stays down. And it circulates and it shoots the air up into certain parts of the house. So if you have a situation where you set it up downstairs at the bottom of the stairs,
we can just like shoot it out here on our
and it hallway. Circulates. It helps just run the air a little bit more than a fan.
Okay.
I use that one in the office, but that carries me to about noonish or so because it's an air circulation.
Yeah, after a point.
After a point, it just
doesn't matter what air you're moving around. It's hot.
2 monitors and a full system running. Seriously, I end up running on a small little laptop sitting on the couch, but you can't really do much.
You know what works great for like my writing though, because I got to take the UPerfect.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I thought you were going to say the Pixelbook Go, but
actually, because I'm in a wider shot here. Well, we've got about 10 minutes here, so
sure.
This was also one of the best of my weeks. This is the UPerfect Pro. So this is a 15-inch. It's pretty big, right?
Okay, yeah. It looks like there's that stand. I was like, okay.
So there's a proper hinge. So this is a 10,000 milliamp hour battery.
Nice.
That's not bad. And then you can see the little USB ports, and it's got one of the nicer, like that actually.
The hinge was actually very solid. Yeah.
Feels pretty solid, and then it pops open. That was the wrong way to open that. It pops open. It's smash. And so I took this out with my Velvet.
That is very nice.
To do some writing. And it's kind of like I think it might have been Steve again.
Perfect.
Someone was saying the Dell, the casing looks super similar to one of the solutions that Dell has, but then the keyboard is on its own magnetic plate.
Magnetic pins. I like that. It's really good.
So there's going to be a video out on this. It's really pricey.
It is.
It's really expensive.
It's super, but it's no touch. No touch.
Yeah, touchscreen.
Touchscreen.
Yeah. So there's going to be a 1080p and a 4K model. This is only the 1080p model. If you're running it off of a phone, that's probably not going to matter too much.
I was going to say, you're not going to. DeX at 4K is not that much more exciting than DeX at 1080.
The battery draw was a little higher than I was expecting, but then again, the screen's also larger than any of our next.
I was about to say, it runs everything.
It was running a little bit more than 10% battery draw per hour. So
just to operate it or to charge your phone?
And to charge the phone.
Okay,
so bigger screen and powering your phone, and it was draining a little quick considering the battery size.
Yeah, no, and how's the brightness for outdoor use?
Not bad for shaded cafe, because I was at a little cafe table just under an umbrella, and I was getting some decent shade. I was waiting for my car to get new tires installed. You don't need to know that. And so I was writing scripts, like the script I did for the Ear Fun, and something else I can't talk about yet. I was writing out.
He almost blurted out the
something that this is kind of giving me even more encouragement that DeX style desktop modes. I really want to play with Motorola, the Ready For because this is much nicer hardware than I was expecting it to be, and
it's super thin, actually. I don't know if you guys could see. This is seriously like the only thickness you're getting here is because of the battery. Yeah,
hold that, because this is my Y Maxit. So like as compared to a portable monitor.
So here it is without even the actual thing. It's super crazy thin. And then,
so yeah, go ahead and put that back on. So if you were doing screen cover and stand to screen cover and stand,
And that's just a display there.
This
There's
is
not
just
even a
a
keyboard.
display. So
I have the very similar version. Well, another version, but it's the same thing.
So the whole thing is just a little bit thicker on the battery side than the actual monitor is on this side.
That one has no battery. Magnetic. Yes. So we're back to the show now. Welcome back. I'm using a very expensive fan. It opens up to become a dual fan system. No, I'm just kidding. It actually looks really nice. I like cool? It reminds me a lot of the Surface keyboard material.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely. I don't. Oh, my Surface is over there. We don't have to keep pulling props out.
Hold on a second.
Now, where was I?
No.
This concept has so much. Well, I don't want to say potential. It is already so functional. That taking this out was a little clumsy on a tiny little cafe table, but the idea that this could be just propped up on a desk, and then you get home and you plug your phone in, you've got like all of the stuff that you were doing on your phone, but accessible on a much larger screen. So cake.
For me,
really nice.
Honestly, even just for using for something like what we're doing right now for a live stream, using this as an HDMI out system, having it sit there, making it a little bit much easier. So for me, one of these days, I'll have you over at the studio. I'll show you. Mine, unfortunately, doesn't have as much room. We'll definitely be using the wide-angle lens on that show. It's one of those things you always have to kind of be challenged in spacing. But this, to me, just serves so many purposes. And it's like, so we need Android to evolve more, especially Android desktop mode. We need it to evolve outside of what it is right now, which seems to be just a mode that you turn on and it just sits there. It hasn't really evolved. LG tried working on it. They put in a very decent approach to it.
Screen Plus got real good just as LG was kind of kicked out of the market.
And it's one of those, like, and Dex seems like right now they've reached a pinnacle now, right? There's no more competition on the Android side. EMUI desktop has shifted over to Harmony OS. And in reality,
I gotta say, I think still my favorite iteration though was on the Honor 20.
So, dude, did you get a chance to catch it? So the Honor 50 just got announced like a couple of days ago,
and it looks like a P50.
So to be fair, I'll say this: the hardware design for any smartphone that you see coming out today started a year and a half ago, typically. So the answer, hardware-wise, still looking like it's a Huawei kind of. The laptop that I got from Honor,
get it, but it's such an easy joke to make.
No, but it's not that much of a joke. I got a laptop that I think I showed you guys on the Saturday Morning with Tech, the Honor laptop. It still has a Huawei charger. It still says Huawei on the sticker on the back of it. So, yeah, the story continues kind of going on. But I like the form factor of being able to use, screen mirroring. Let's say on Xperia 1 Mark III. I'm not just kidding. That's the Mark II. I just wanted to kind of throw
something. Where is my Mark II?
Sitting next to your. I'm just kidding. The way it's the reflection. No, I'm actually just listening to some. Started to download a little bit more FLAC trance music. It sounds much better.
It's funny that for all of these years of techies saying you can't even hear the difference, that now suddenly we're all very interested in lossless and higher quality
audio.
I
want the best quality audio for the best pair of earphones you could use. LDAC. Lossless FLAC audio is the only way. 360, I'm not 100% big on that. I love the idea, but it's just, I don't really need spatial when I'm sitting here.
Have you played with the some of the amps and stuff, like the little dongle DACs, like the THX?
Not the THXs. The Q3 is the only one that
I. Right. And the Q3 is like an amp.
It is definitely.
So THX
it's about the side. Like when you put it here, you rubber. They include rubber bands on the box.
It's so adorable.
But it is cute.
So THX is going to send me over their Onyx. I mean, the main reviews on that have already been put out, but it's funny that now that Apple did something,
you catch up to the rest of the.
They're trying to make some noise, and I'm also talking to the guys at Odyssey. A headphone manufacturer, about taking a second look at the Mobius.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you guys remember when the Mobius came out, it was mostly focused as a gaming headset, but it's a planar magnetic drivers, which if you're into the detail and articulation of music, these things blew my mind on the LCDs. This is a level of clarity I genuinely have not experienced sub $1,000 on a pair of headphones. And Mobius is like a $400 gaming headset. And at the time, there was a lot of this like nerd hand wringing. $400. That's like really expensive.
Yeah.
And they were the first to use the Waves version of head tracking.
Oh.
So it's not only just spatial audio, but like Apple has also been talking about with their W1 chips and stuff, is that when you're relating to a screen, it moves audio so that the relation to you and your display is maintained. And it's different than surround sound where you move and all of the speakers
move with you.
Here it's tracking so that
it's very much as where I'm listening to Juan right now. I pretty much hear him on my left side. Where if I was listening to, to surround, it would basically be Juan but stereo the whole time. Which, like I said, it's functional, and I feel like it works better for me for bigger displays when I'm watching something. It's just that on a smartphone, I almost never do this, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, I'm like, and I turn around, I'm like saying, talking to my wife, whatever. I don't need I like the function. I think it's cool, but it really needed more on a TV. I want it to be more like that immersive experience.
Well, and that's what I want to kind of toy around with, because on a gaming headset, again, the Mobius is a bit more focused as a gaming headset than like an all-rounder music listening solution. Like AirPods Max makes a completely different argument that I'm not sure who that person is as a consumer. The person who doesn't care about premium audio quality, who doesn't listen to high bitrate audio, FLAC files, anything like that, is mostly consuming on streaming services and wants like kind of the bare minimum of digital interactions that you can talk to an assistant, and might appreciate better noise cancellation, but is willing to spend $550 for that package. I really don't know who that person is or where that person belongs. But that's why I want to take a look back at Mobius at nice. $400 minus the really extreme, the really solid. I mean, the AirPods Max noise cancellation is really good.
Okay,
but minus that, if I'm going to give up $150 for planar magnetic drivers, LDAC, so that I am sending a higher quality Bluetooth stream, and I can plug in easily on a 3.5 millimeter cable, and I can plug that into like an Onyx. Like if I want to go cabled, to me becomes a much more feasible conversation than where we were when it was released 2 years ago. And $400. Do you really want to spend $400 on like really amazing headphone drivers?
Once I picked up my DT770s and I started to enjoy them and using them with the Q3 just for more portable solution.
It's so
and not only that, I actually use it also with my PC. That's the beauty of the Q3.
Do you know what
you plug it into anything?
Well, what we should do is maybe we got to reach out. This is all just spitballing right off the top of my head. We should do like a music listening party with Jeff.
Yeah.
So like I could go meet you at your place and we could kind of get in cozy just for one shot. We could dial into him. Dial into him. Well, I'm like 80 years old here.
He's on a 14.4 modem. If you guys know what I'm talking about.
Link up on the internet to converse in real time.
On or off a bulletin board, because those are still not there anymore.
Well, they got turned into Reddits. So
that's exactly what it is. Reddit is the old.
What's old is new again.
BBS.
But we should do kind of like a listening party and chat out some of these different things. And I can bring over I'll bring my Odysseys. You've got 770s. Yep. I've got 770s.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say.
Have you ever listened to Ultrazones?
No, I think last time we talked about the Ultrazones, we didn't get a chance. So yes, see this
future idea,
future projects, definitely.
It could happen.
Talk audio, the guy gets excited.
Well, but then to also talk about music. That's kind of what I want to get
music
across.
Is I think that's
we can all kind of share some of like Jeff does a really good job of cultivating his playlists. So you can go to any one of his reviews and you can see this is the music that he kind of tests off.
I never hit him up. I need to see how far he is from me, because I don't think he's as far as I think he is. I thought he was
like. Do you mean to fly?
No,
or
well, okay. So we'll have to.
Well, we're gonna chat.
Yeah.
I was just I've got his address. He lives currently at 1234. Oh wait, perhaps I've said too much.
Yes, you got him at the 4. That's exactly what it is.
That's the same code I use on my luggage.
Oh my god, too many Spaceballs codes. Oh my god.
What did I do with my coffee? Oh, it's over here.
Oh, yeah, it's having its own
we can start kind of winding this down. I just needed my beverage to finish this off.
Make sure you offer them a warm beverage, especially if they feel.
Oh, it's so cold now, and the almond creamer I'm using all kind of sank to the bottom. Not as good.
But no, seriously. On a serious note, the best of my week has to be finally seeing this guy in person. Seriously, guys, there's a whole bunch of things that have been going on for the longest times. Normalcy starting to come back here to LA County and LA opening up. There's, it's just life. And I'm a little bit leery too, which is weird. I'm like I'm not 100% on board with everything.
I just don't trust it.
Yeah, just a little. Like I actually,
like the mask mandate lifted and I was walking into a burrito spot and you're like, I just don't believe that you're all vaccinated.
Yeah, but
I don't believe you.
You don't. No, this is okay. It's a discussion for a different time because otherwise we're going to get flagged for that part of the conversation that we're not even doing. I'm very happy with the way things are moving. Like I said, tomorrow I'll get a chance to hang out with Josh. I was about to say Juan, and obviously I got a chance to hang out with Juan this week and hang out with you guys again. This is again super secret, super ultra private, secret place. Here, Gadget Lab 4 looks amazing. There's so many things here that I'm going to be taking out and swiping as I'm walking out the door.
Yoink.
Yep, pretty much. Juan's be like, what happened to Soundwave?
Where's my Cortana lunchbox?
No, he'd be like, what happened to the cassette from Soundwave? It's like, not there.
No, not my Soundwave cassette tapes.
Dude, he has the original cassette. There's like so for
it's one of the reissues.
I was going to say, for all of the young folks out there, and it's getting cassettes are little magnetic tapes, magnetic strip tapes that you used to put music on. That Sony popularized back in the 80s.
And my Laserbeak.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. So that is by far my best part of the week. Also get a chance to drive a nice little further away, enjoying this beautiful weather before. Yeah, it's kind of like a little road trip.
We caught just like a minute of cloud cover.
Yeah.
And it's sick.
Dude, it rained a little bit last night.
That
we had rain.
Feel that.
I was like, what do you mean it's raining? Do we have tropical weather now? Like it's super hot and it's like at night, it hits 80 degrees at midnight. It doesn't drop below. So it's very much like desert weather and you feel like you're in. So short answer, my favorite part of the week is this. So I've reached that pinnacle. Tomorrow is literally icing on the cake with cherry on top and all of that stuff with Josh.
From there, moving on, we're just really excited that we can kind of get back into telling stories in more interesting ways.
Yeah.
It was sort of the like sisterhood of the traveling pants philosophy of like my wife and I, we finally got into this place and we're like, well, we've just got to get out of the place we spent a year in pandemic quarantine. Like we can't live in the place that we were sheltered in for that long.
It's been
and just being able to open up and move around and like, again, how freakish it feels to do something that you just used to take for granted, like go to a cafe, drink a cup of coffee, pop open a laptop, and do a little writing. I
don't even think now. I just get out of the car and I put my mask on. I'm like, oh, can I take it off? No.
And then how weird you get those weird looks. Like I'm wearing a mask. They think I'm not vaccinated.
It's the
It's
the I don't trust you're not.
Yeah, exactly. It's like reverse peer pressure.
It is. It depends on the places. So some places where I am at least are still fully masked. Like you walk in, everybody's wearing them. So the answer is it's getting better. We're hopefully going to be in a better position. I can't wait till travel becomes a little bit more as well. I'd love to be able to see some of my friends I haven't had a chance to, because like I said, I mean, Edabong, Ricky, people that I've used to see and hang out with all the time. But I'm lucky enough that I have both Josh and Juan that are within distance that we're able to hang out. So hope you guys are having a good week. Hope you guys enjoyed this little surprise. I think quite a few of you guys enjoy the fact that we're able to do this in person in the Gadget Lab. Fat Produce, if you're in the chat, dude, thank you. Gary, always, hashtag Mr. the Fireman. Aditya, Michael Peppertech, Vince is in there. And I think obviously Josh is in there. He's at the gym right now working on those, muscles. I'm joking, but obviously I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this week. I'll see you tomorrow. And we will see you next week for another episode of Best of Our Week. So take care, everybody. And normally I'm the guy pushing the button, but it's a little bit
awkward thing where I walk across my office now. So take care. Bye.
This is one of those things you should never do. Walk across the other.
Yeah, I know. I broke that line. That's terrible. So I'm like horrible filmmaking here.
With that being said.